So we are into July now, officially. Yesterday, in the company meeting, uh, there was already formal announcement of conclusion of June month and arrival of July, and also we have this short week. We have been having off on 4th of July, marking Independence Day in the United States. So in agenda, definitely June month retention rate, something we will quickly talk. And then learning from inversion, interesting thing, a unique thing that Joel shared yesterday via an email. And there were communication happened on that email thread between team leads. So it was quite interesting. I also shared that some points with you guys. So we'll have a quick discussion on this. And the last one in agenda is 4th of July holiday. And I just want to know whom of your client is actually doing 4th of July holiday. And there's one speech sheet that Gonzalo shared with all of you. And since he would be actually working on 4th of July, so it's very good for you to update his spreadsheet if any of your client is doing 4th of July, so that Gonzalo, while working on that day, can look after on your accounts. So is there any client who's doing 4th of July? Anyone's client?
Yeah,
I have one, but I will check as myself.
Okay.
I have two clients, Marcella Moda and Magnolia.
Marcelo Moda, okay. Magnolia Boutique. Others?
Ashok, I have to check this.
Yeah, check it. Since it's just today and tomorrow, so you want to ensure that you add all the details and Gonzalo get time to check them and ask you any questions if comes up before our official sign off for 4th of July.
Yeah, I think the most important thing on this is sometimes the client requests a special offer just only for one day, and maybe we need to pause the same day. So that's why I create that sheet, because sometimes we don't set up correctly that schedule or something like that. No, just to avoid any misunderstand with the client, or maybe accept the spend, because sometimes they say, for example, the client say, okay, I would like to run a promotion only for July 4, and for some reason that schedule was not set correctly, and then they check during the night of the other day, and maybe they see a banner or an ad and say, why happened that? Just to avoid that, I think it's a good way to cooperate in our team. You know just to help the team.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is a simple spreadsheet that you need to add with just details. It's just a couple of columns.
Yeah, I will do
Pretty much.
that. I have got time.
Yeah, others also who haven't checked it, check it quickly. I think it's just checking that you would need to do if there would have been any promotion offer. You would have probably gotten update already ahead of time from DP, but some client might come last minute, so you have to check it. You have to ask DP, is there any client who's doing 4th of July? It would be important. So check it and update the spreadsheet. And even before you actually sign off on 3rd, which is tomorrow, once again cross check, or if any DP says that she will get back to you, then do not forget following up to that DP on 3rd.
Ashok, just a last comment related with that. Remember, if somebody needs to set up a schedule, remember that schedule works until the date you submit. What I try to mean with that is, for example, if you set up an extension and that schedule is to run until, for example, you set the end time is July 4, remember that extension run until July 4, 11:59 p.m. I say that because sometimes it's a little tricky, and maybe you choose the next day, and if you choose the next day, remember they will run all the next day, just in case.
Yes, it's a good reminder. Uh, Often time schedule little bit, they may make you confused if you don't pay attention on a, kind of like time of the day. So like 11:59 p.m. 4th of July, that means, it will going to turn off 11:59 p.m. 4th of July. But if you are aiding it to turn off 12 a.m. 4th of July, that means, it will actually going to turn off just on 4th of July when it is beginning at 12 p.m. 12 a.m. So it's a bit of common sense, and it's also a good reminder. I know most of us do this already. We all know that how to set up a schedule, but when there's an extension or offer that we need to run just for one day, we have got to pay a little bit extra attention. It's a kind of QA, make sure that it has been properly scheduled. Otherwise, you may end up running it some other time or some other day, which is definitely not good at all. Good reminder. All right, so let's start with our other two items in our agenda. So June month retention. Yep. So I would like everyone in our team to, I would like to thank everyone in our team for all of your hard work. We have had a pretty strongest overall marketing retention month of 2019. So it's a 97.43%. Expect, little, I think, in a point up or down, because our accounting team is still finalizing the end of June month numbers. We also don't have PPC retention yet finalized, because again, we are waiting for accounting team's data to come up with final PPC retention, but it is definitely going to be, close to this number, 97.43. So this was definitely the best retention month of 2019, and I'm so happy that, after last few rough retention months, we hit really well on a retention. Good job, and thank you so much for all of your hard work. Just keep it up. We just need to keep eyeing up high retention rate, doing everything possible for our clients to give them results and make them satisfied. That's actually, our ultimate goal as a PPC team, as an overall marketing team. One reason we often talk about overall marketing retention is because, we are not just a stand-alone team. Most of our clients have SEO services with us as well, along with PPC. So our job gets a little bit bigger there. We need to also assist other team so that they can be on a track. And it happens a lot of time, if one service is exceptionally performing well and other services is struggling, client will most likely staying with us. If SEO is a poor but PPC has been really well, they'll be encouraged and, have themselves more patience and give more time. And if this is happening exactly opposite, and then same scenario. We have initiated a lot of ways to assist our other team, SEO team. As you guys may have noticed, those SEO and PPC collaboration tasks is exactly geared for that. So keep that doing. In your strategy, give it in a big place. If there is something, some channel is struggling, you would anyhow get to know that. If you don't have any idea about how SEO performance is going on, do not forget checking it in analytics or checking into client alignment notes, or you can even speak to DP how is organic performance. So that's how overall marketing retention is a main goal of the company, and that we need to remember. Any comments, thoughts here?
No.
Vivek, you want to add something?
No, definitely. Yeah. Our primary goal is basically to retain client, and higher retention is our primary goal. But the basic thing what we can do and what is in our hand, do the quality work, uh, do as much as to make profit of the client. So those are in our hand. The quality is really very big concern, where we can, if we can achieve that, and we can 100% sure whatever the work we are doing that is of 100% of quality, then definitely these retention will be sustained, and we can get see more better retention rate.
Great point. Quality, work quality is absolutely, crucial part of a success for a client. If you are really eyeing for generating profit, without quality work, you won't be getting that. You'll struggling, or you'll be just, not hitting that at all. So
And
quality, the word quality is actually a hidden word. And for PPC, there are a lot of things involved under quality. It's not, quality doesn't mean like ensuring that you have grammatically correct it, or you have picked up just straightforward keyword and did not pick synonyms or misspelling. No, that's not a quality. Of course, that is obvious quality that you need to ensure, but other quality for PPC is ensure that your campaign structure is very, very strong. The keyword you pick are thematically structured, very well structured. You hit high quality score, you get very good CTR, and ultimately the users you are bringing in, make sure that you evaluate search terms and try to have a sneak peek on what kind of users are coming, and what is bounce rate, what is the conversion rate. Those are really deep down metrics that often gives you an idea about how quality work you have been doing.
yeah, definitely. That is only the thing is in our control. What we can give control as a PPC analyst is the quality, and that quality, as Ashok said, that quality contains lots of other metrics as well. The text ad, the quality you are launching, the things you are launching, that is definitely the thing what you need to control, as well as analytical skill you need to develop. You have to align with client's objective, what client's objective is, and basically where we are right now, and are we doing those things or not to meet that objective or not. So these all things being a PPC analyst very crucial. Sometimes what happens, sometimes the other agency or the other persons or outsider of clients person analyze our work, and if that time they find out, or in that time they say something as a suggestion, that is really a very bad thing for us as an agency, and as a PPC analyst we need not to give any clue, or if we are doing that intentionally, we need to show a valid point, that's why we are not doing this. So everything what we are doing and what is in our hand control, that should be clear to us, why we are doing this and why we are not doing this. So that is definitely the things which is in our control, and being a PPC analyst, which we should take care.
Absolutely agree. That's actually very important for all of us. We need to challenge our own, learning. We need to challenge our own expertise, skill set. That's what PPC is. You need to really, keep honing your skills, paying, big attention on details. A lot of things, comes from client have deep meanings. So we have to look into, every direction to use that information. And that's the only way. I think, I know it's very hard, that's the only way we can keep driving success for our clients. Anybody else having any thoughts? Okay. So if no thoughts, then we can move to our agenda number second, which is quite interesting, learning from inversion. And how many of you understand this concept?
Yeah, I have gone through that article, and it is really very good, and it have deep meaning. Um uh, so you have
Great.
to understand, uh, if there is something problem, you just have to, you can solve it in easier way, making it complex.
Right.
So it is very good article. It is good. We can implement it into our day-to-day process as well as our professional and personal life as well.
Great. And also good to know that you took time and gone through this. How many of you have gone through this article?
Yes, I the thought what I have, um, and I'm very agree with that with the article. And also, for me, it's not. I don't know if the word is turn me crazy, but it's for me it doesn't sound well when I listen, for example, the word spend. And why I say that? Because I remember when I used to attend at college,
Mm-hmm.
my one of my teachers say, remember, in advertisement you can't say spend because spend is something that you can reduce, and it's completely different as invest. That's why when you talk about advertisement, you can't say spend. You need to say invest, and I totally agree with that. For example, here in Latin America, the advertisement you can't say spend
Mm-hmm.
because when you say spend, the clients the clients start to think, oh, you spend my money, okay, I'm going to cut. Yeah,
It's
yeah, and I,
very good point.
Yep.
The word, I think it's the word puzzle, spend versus investment, and definitely both words have different meaning, and I'm sure it would have been having different impression psychologically to everyone, with respect to their kind of general logic, general understanding. When you say spend, yeah, anyone would actually think it straightforward that his money has gone, his money has been uh,
Yep.
spent, like expenditure, we can tell. And investment, oh man, it's a totally different, like, investment. In even though his money has gone, but he has invested it for something. It could be, maybe it could come later. So that's very good word, and I think we need to ask Google to change it, spend, convert it to invest, to better communicate, client. Good point, Gonzalo. All right, so if yeah, I'm sure most of you have gone through it, but if you haven't, take some time. Will take probably 5 to 10 minutes of your time. It's very good article. Read it. I actually gone through it, and as I said, we were involved into team lead level communication in that email thread. So from PPC perspective, I actually brought this point in that communication, that inversion, by the way, inversion is actually learning from your past, or looking into your past work and trying to know which mistake you could have made that could have caused a failure of a project. It's a kind of like going backward, learning what could be the mistake and applying it to forward. It's nothing but learning from mistakes or learning from the past. A lot of time, whether it is a personal life or professional life, definitely we would like to improve in a future, and that often comes up with a straightforward determination, like, okay, I would do this to improve uh, my life, I would do that, I'm committed to do this thing, I'm committed to that thing. But we often don't actually determine, like, I would avoid this to improve myself, or I would not do this to improve myself. It's often passive determination that we decide for our future. unless if you have had a really a big accident or big, worrisome mistake you made in the past, and that is actually by default coming up on the top of your mind, and you would straight away say that I would not do that. Most of us often, do not really look into our past and try to actually, avoid something that we think that that was actually the mistake I made, and I need to avoid it. Just I need to avoid it. That's it. So I would probably go more here in PPC perspective. So one thing which I told to Joel that one thing we stopped doing is we are not running campaigns. For example, non-branded is the best example. We don't do non-branded for the clients who are looking for faster results. And one thing we know is non-branded, 9 out of 10 time it will fail. Unless if your client's brand is exceptionally well, like Pink Lily, Magnolia, Westin Motorsports, Q Spray, those are already popular brands. And these guys have already invested a lot of money on these keywords before they started converting it. So this is inversion analysis. This is just one lesson from inversion, that we are not doing non-branded, because we know that even though our instinct would say that we need to test it, our all the knowledge that we so far acquired in PPC would urge us to run non-branded and test them. But most of you would probably agree, 9 out of 10 times you would end up turning them off after 1 month or 2 months. The reason is because client is expecting on the other end return. So that's actually inversion, learning something from PPC. I actually outlined some of good points, but I'll not discuss them.
So can I
But
add here one thing?
yeah.
So, yeah, definitely we understand the non-branded is not in terms of directly giving the result, but sometimes what we can do is instead of directly uh, taking decision by ourselves, we need to involve here the client as well. So we understand that is from our history and experience, this will be not good for you. So that's why we don't want to go ahead with non-branded, and that is just because you are looking more for ROI, and we don't have instinct that we can get achieve that ROI through this. So later on, if you want us to continue with that, we can go ahead with continuing with some person of like for brand awareness or some others. So sometimes what happens, client always think some of the major keywords they should get ranking. They don't understand why we are not bidding on that. They directly come to us, or they directly say, or they think, or someone else, if someone else say them that you are not bidding on this. And at that time client can directly come to us and say why you have aren't bidding on that. So that time we cannot say, because this has been reviewed by someone else, and we are saying that now that because we thought it will not give you the result, then client will say like we are making the excuses.
Mm-hmm.
So the solution of that is, before proceed, we can directly involve the client. Then client can understand, yeah, why we are not, and it is in our basket. We understand, we know this need to launch, but this we are not launching it just because of we are restricted to ROI and we are following other campaigns. So that how we can proceed with. I think that.
Yeah, that's a perfect point in terms of convincing client. The strategy and the approach, actually, client who are looking for faster results, this one is another, one of the big probably topic, or perhaps this is another so crucial point for our work, that we need client on the same page as we do. So if they keep saying that they need results, or our instinct says that this client may not survive if it didn't get revenue or his costs go overhead than the ROI or the revenue he makes, then perhaps you need to clearly tell client that okay, see, you are looking for ROI, then these are the campaigns we can probably bet on in terms of giving you best ROI. We are not launching non-branded because this is what you are looking. However, if you are open to invest your money and kind of drive upper funnel audience, we can run non-branded. That's the way of communications. And Vivek, yeah, I agree with your point. It's actually the way of communication. It's the way we communicate our strategy to client, that how we want to approach it, and we need to keep client on the same page. If we are not bidding on XYZ keyword, there should be a reason why we are not bidding, and it should be proactively communicated before you are out of time and you are taking yourself decision not running non-branded, and later on client questioning you that, hey guys, why didn't you bid on that? Then your any of your explanation, if you're lucky, if client says that, okay, that's fine. Otherwise client, especially when they are frustrated not seeing revenue in their pocket, I'm talking about small to medium sized businesses, they'll come up with hard hitting questions.
Yeah, definitely. And sometimes clients know something about the PPC, so they definitely come to us. Like example of Marcella model. So everything what we do, they question to us. So,
Yeah.
and if we are not doing, they ask to us why we are not doing. So that is the perfect way. We need to be prepare ourselves, and everything what we are doing, we need to keep be clear in ourselves, and that we could explain to client. So
Yeah.
that is the crucial things which we should go with that.
Yeah, be transparent as much as possible in your strategy, and you would be enjoying, the work. You would absolutely be enjoying the work. Anyone else having a thought here? I'm not talking about my points. I just want to hear each of you actually, what is your takeaway from this inversion analysis?
Yeah, I think it's useful because as the article says, it's easier to know what not to do than what to do. Or at least it is for me. For example, I have seen some to the non-branded campaign we just talked about. The competitors campaign, uh, it's almost guaranteed to fail. Uh, and also the normal display campaign. So that those are things that I just think not to do this and not to do this. And yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
useful.
not to do them when client would not probably survive without ROI is absolutely, that's where we can't do. But if client agrees that he is more willing to bring in traffic, upper funnel audience, then there those can definitely be tried. But practically we get a lot of small to medium sized businesses here in city who are there, who are actually at receiving end, need to get money as soon as possible. We often got to really do not run a lot of such things like competitor, non-branded, but always explain this. It's very important. We need to explain clients. Great
So,
point,
Ashok,
Yarik.
I want to say it in other words. If you have a goal of getting your client profitable, you want to do your work in an accurate manner, dedicatedly, with a comprehensive research backed by articles and case studies, and then you can get good result. Uh, Inverse of this, you want to be sluggish. You put your work for the next day and the next day, and don't get a lot of research on this. So this is a kind of practical example of this reversion.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. There's no doubt that each client, you have to do serious job with a high dedication. you know you don't have to be, you cannot afford sloppy work. Sloppy work means just skipping doing the work for the sake of something else. This might often hurt. or poor research, poor strategy creation, poor execution, not really paying attention on data is often, those are small things, but they actually sum up one day and end up in making your campaigns not driving profit at all. So yeah, it's pretty important that we are so sensible, we pay attention on all these small things.
So Ashok, one more practical example when it comes to investing. When you want to become rich, you want to invest in companies which is has a good management, good earning per
Mm-hmm.
share, backed by research companies like Moody and all. So you want to invest in those companies. But when you want to become poor, you maybe invest in bad companies, or maybe fixed deposit, or you buy bond which is has a very bad grading. So you buy bond with not very good rating. You don't do research before you do invest your money, and then you get bad result for your investment.
That's so good point. And I think that also again remind Gonzalo's point, investment is so crucial. uh, and I know a lot of Fortune 500 businesses actually understand these things, and they invest in agencies. They don't look for short term results, they always eye for long term results. It's a kind of like ideal client. That's where you can perfectly execute your PPC strategy. Planning definitely for upper funnel audience, planning for then focusing on lower funnel audience. It's so ideal thing. Great point.
Here also the client trust is a very big thing, because once we achieve the client trust within a initial first 3 to 4 months, then we easy for our client retention. To gain a the trust, we should, as Aditya said, that dedication job and
Hmm.
give to the particular results.
Relationship is, that's why it's so important, and that's why we have special roles here. A digital producer, they are there to manage the relationship. Unfortunately, uh, that also has some drawback, like they are the person who are there to manage relationship, but they are not person who are doing real production. It's we who are doing real production, but we are not speaking to client until last couple of months when we started joining uh, calls. The reason we started joining calls is so that we can actually better communicate. Or if DPs don't know what is happening and why it is happening, then we can better explain. It often helps, reconnect with client and once again establish trust. Nice point.
I
Anyone?
have
Go ahead.
so it's very important in every business to think about how the other person might reciprocate. One thing was very good in this, like thinking in the opposite point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that's something which helps avoid a lot of confusions, and it sets the expectations really clear, and it helps us to pass on the message very clearly, and also putting ourselves in the client's shoes really helps us understand uh, what kind of situations they are in, and what is the reason they might not be cooperating at times, and they might be also investing a lot of money in their inventory and asking us to get us sales all the time. So it really helps us to get them, like connect with them and try to establish something, which also may be a relationship, but mostly it helps.
Solid point. That's absolutely correct. Thinking in shoes of clients is so important, and that is once again, for PPC, we have to do, we have to go a few extra miles and try to judge clients' intentions. For example, you would by default, I think our kickoff process is very solid. We start asking clients some great questions, and we start understanding, like how is their financial situation. how long they can afford investing their money. When is that plug period or plug time, when client would start NTCing and start expecting ROI. So that's where our job comes pretty handy. What we can run, what we can not, and what could ensure the profit for clients, what could not. It's absolutely thinking that way, and you have to do it every time you speak with client, not just kickoff call, but every time you join client call, hear their feedback. You'll have to really understand what is thinking going on in their mind.
Also, there is a way of terminology for this. Big companies, like in Google, they used to call it "be your customer." So
Mm-hmm.
it's like a set of questions. Whenever you have a meeting with your client, you need to understand them as quickly as in 5 minutes. There were a set of questions we used to have,
Okay.
because now we have DPs here, so we may not need that. But terminologies like this, when we ask our clients questions, hey, we are going to ask you some questions so that we can be in your shoes. Uh, these are called as "be your customer shoes," like "be your customer questions."
Mm-hmm.
So these kind of terminologies actually help them be like, okay, these guys are actually concerned about us.
Right.
They will. We are in good hands. That's the kind of feeling it passes on.
Yeah, that same thing we do in our kickoff call. There are a set of questions we ask to clients to try to understand completely, their personality, their business. Actually, a lot of information about their personality we often get transferred from DS, because they start communicating with them during prospecting process. But then the questions we ask about their business, how do they get into business? That first question itself is kind of a good look. It gives a good look into their background. And then we have a survey, the score task survey every month. We send a survey questions to clients. How happy are they with the performance? Not all clients respond, and not all reviews are positive. Absolutely few clients respond. Few are positive, few are negative. But when it comes to negative reviews, that's where we start acting on what could be troubling that client. So yeah, I think we also have a pretty solid process in terms of mingling with clients. All we need to do is really follow these seriously, one by one, for each client, and try to do better job. Great point. Anyone want to add here? All right. So we are already past 12 a.m. IST, 11:30 p.m. in other words for PST. I'll now come back to my points that I added and what I actually observe based on my inverse and analysis. And you guys can also, when you read it and come up with some of your analysis and how we can improve, you can feel free to share those points in the email that I forwarded you yesterday. But what I really observe is uh, fast results require fast work, strategy, testing, learning, but our process makes it slow. Somehow we are slow in turning things around. Yes, this is actually my little bit of 2 cents. I can say, despite our new process, I still feel like it's been a slow. We have been our process perhaps is making it a bit slow in turning thing around really a fast way. Second of my observation is actually creating strategies. We often create great strategies, but when we go ahead and start deploying them, that's where we get into trap of multiple things to look after. And I would probably, I can then tie back to some of your points that you guys time to time mention me that, there are so many things to look after. So this is definitely one reasons which is making, our job, simple job, a bit complex. You have to manage Basecamp, you have to then address emails, then there's a chat, then there's a various docs, sheets, so many things. So one of my inverse in analysis says that this is something probably making it hard. Our simplest job is becoming complex. So I personally observe that email based project management is actually far more effective than trying to follow up base game in chats and everything. This point I was discussing with Rebecca also, and we were even scratching our head on what could be causing this low retention months. So we actually dived into some of our rough retention month, and I asked her how other teams are doing, like how is SEO. I am glad that she actually rated PPC team over SEO team, and because of just simple one reason, that we are trying hard, we are spot on in terms of client concerns, or if there is any help needed by DP, we are always spot on. Our work somehow actually on a top, and we are probably the most hardworking and the best team as of now is trying everything possible. So I was glad you know hearing that rating from her. But then we thought that how can we make our process so simple. And I actually asked her one question: can you tell me what if we don't use Basecamp at all and just work with email, just only email, whatever the email, I mean the whatever the project is, all the strategy and the communication, then the results analysis, everything, what if it we manage it via email. And she was also kind of surprised hearing that discussion, and was thinking that okay, that is perhaps something which is really making our process very very complex, because you have a base game and then you also have to look into emails, and often whenever there is a client concerns coming up, there is an initiation of emails. The strategy completed, not completed, there will be an email. The performance number, there will be an email. So on a one hand, you are using Basecamp, trying to keep track of everything, and on the other hand, you are using emails. Now you have to look after both things, and ultimately that's where your time is getting killed, and we are going away from our concentration, which needs to be there on campaign executions and driving results. So I would ultimately, ask you guys one question before we wrap this meeting. Who is in favor of getting rid of Basecamp and just use project management, PPC project management via email communication only?
I use both.
Ashok, for me, it's next to impossible.
Yep.
I in my suggestion, we need to simplify the base camp, and we are good here. So base camp, we have made it complicated in terms of, yeah. So that what we think, if we can simplify that, and as low task we can do, that will be good, and there we are good.
Okay.
But skipping the base camp, I think that is going to be very complicated, as well as sometimes we can skip some of the essential things. So skipping base camp is not good, but yeah, we can simplify it. Right now, frankly speaking, the new process which you have implemented, that is too complicated, especially for me. I don't know if for someone else it is easy, but for me it is too much complicated, and I'm not able to go through each and every task and each and every strategy. It is really being tough for me to handle it.
Yep.
So, Ashok,
Yeah,
one
Ashok.
thing I would say,
Actually, Ashok, here I would like to add. Actually, I agree with you because uh, if actually, as per my opinion, uh, if either we have a base camp, either or we have emails. Sometimes DP and Jordan and Joel, if some client raise, and if in the some issues are raised in particular project, at that time they are actively on the emails,
Mm-hmm.
and they are at that time nobody can see the base game, but actually they if they are using the only Basecamp or only emails, because the both sides are very complicated. and also chat with also us.
Right.
Ashok, one point I would like to add here. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
the migration from Basecamp to email would be a tough thing. Reason being, Basecamp has its pros and cons. So does email, uh, because everything is collected in one place in Basecamp. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and task assignment and date assignment, which is a good feature. The only thing is, if you come back to emails again, it would be little tough for everybody, is what I feel, because assigning the task and who is there in the group and who is not there. Sometimes if the DP doesn't respond, we could go into the system, like into that particular project, and we can see who is the other person, and we can just follow up with them, or add them into the tasks. So that's the advantage which Basecamp has. If
Okay.
it comes back to
Actually,
email, it goes to be like we need to be having folder management and everything, which can also be possible. Both has its pros and cons.
Okay.
Actually, I think company will not take any action regarding the Basecamp because the Basecamp is a project management tool. So here, with this help tool, we can manage the whole process of the particular. Actually, every company having any this type of project management tool for
Yeah.
the internal only.
Right.
But here we also use with the client also. It would be great, but I think you know I think
For client, we use it to share informations like docs,
yes,
sheets, then those bi-monthly reports. But actually 90% clients don't come to the base camp. They often communicate via email only.
yes.
It's then on DP's end to manage both together. Okay, so actually that makes it clear that email based communications project management is something we can't do. It will likely going to create trouble. Plus, another thing to learn here is a Basecamp at the moment. Basecamp process is quite a bit complicated, so we need to simplify it. Okay, we will work on simplifying it a bit better for you guys, so that there is an easier way. Uh, Ultimately, the one thing that we really need to draw out of this, it's just your preference, whether you use email or a base game. We need to just keep executing a strategy. Whatever we decide the strategy, it must be executed on a timely manner. That's the goal of any process in the world. That should be the goal of any process in the world. So whether it is a base game or you use the email, even a smallest thing shouldn't be forgotten. If it is like everyday checking the conversion tracking, it should happen. That's why those small tasks, I probably thought that aiding them would ultimately give everything in front of your eyes and you'd not forget. But probably we need to simplify it a bit better way.
Yeah, Ashok, one thing what I can suggest, just doing the microing of the each of the tasks, we can mingle it, and of course we understand, being a PPC analyst, what are the things which we need to take care of, especially if we talk about each of the sections. You have created several subcategories and several other things. That is actually making all of us, I don't know for others, but for me, that is making the complicated thing. For each section, we have to go ahead and have to uh, enter specifically into that specific based scam task. Instead of that, we can create a single one, or we can simplify or modify. Instead of weekly, we can update it on monthly basis. What are not actually required uh, on monthly weekly basis. So, for example, checking the pixels or conversions tracking are not on right way. Instead of weekly, we can go with the monthly process, because but if some tracking is happening or go daily on, we are already keeping eyes on, you know with the performance, we always see the performance. If some performance is being down, we can understand that is this is because this. So instead of creating an extra task, we can simplify it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think where this is getting a bit complex is there's every small thing I think I added as a separate task, and I get that point. We need to make it under just one task, and that way I think a lot of these things need to be combined into just one task, and that will simplify it. This one seems to be, one of the good thing we introduce is this every month strategy. This is very, very crucial, and this should help you guys, better align your work based on a monthly manner and the strategy you decide. Now, rest of the other things remains is that recurring tasks and the setup. I think, yeah, we need to simplify it. So I and Vivek will work on simplifying this, but we need to continue using strategy document. Make sure that every month you come up with the strategy or the points that you will be working on, and then keep a track record of like what is working, then profitability. That spreadsheet, that single spreadsheet, ultimately would help anyone. Was a big bolt, thunderbolt. So that single document should help us keep a track record of performance, profitability, and everything.
Also,
So
also I want to ask all of you guys, the bandwidth allocation, the sheet what we have created, how much useful are those? So frankly speaking, all of you guys, are you using that? Is it making any process easily for you, or what you say?
For bandwidth table.
Yeah, the bandwidth allocations which we had prepared.
Yeah.
Are we using that, Ashok?
yeah,
What?
I think some of
Me-
you
Means
using,
in this sheet.
yeah, this one, the bandwidth allocation tab,
Okay.
the last tab in this.
It is helpful, Vivek, because this is the way how we plan ahead, and we'll come to know how much time, I mean, approximate time we can allocate for each task.
So
Yeah,
Actually, here I want to add, Ashok, something here, because I think this sheet we should not share with the client for
we
the
should
band. I
not
mean,
share it with the client. Normally, it's I think 95% it will be internal.
okay,
It's like
because
trying to
we have merged all the sheets, profitability, wins, and performance, and bandwidth in the one sheet. So I think regarding bandwidth, we should
if
create.
to
No,
share
this
this.
is not sharing with the client because one of my new strategy, like for a client facing, they have removed the sheet and have spent and have sent
Yeah, yeah.
only the
That's
strategy.
exactly the point. Before sharing this to client, we would definitely check everything and which one to keep and which one to not. But that is 5% scenario. Normally, we'll mostly be using this internally. And if there would be client questions, then we'll be looking into and then answering. And if there is a situation where we have to share it, then perhaps we will review it and we'll straight away go ahead and remove this or hide it. Or we can create even duplicate sharing with client just performance and profitability. The main goal of this is to make yourself understand what is client is paying you and how many hours you can work. And if you can't launch all campaigns, then do you need to launch them into I mean, do you need to move them to another month or not? That's
But
actually cool.
actually, in real situation, Ashok, if suppose one client has start at the initial from the first June or July, but this client not getting better results, so we have to put more and more hours for to retain the particular client, and deduct from the other performing campaigns, like the settle campaigns and accounts. regarding the
Yeah, in
hours and
those
then
situations you can work. You can work with how many hours you can in those STC situation clients. Of course, you can work whichever hours needed. But this one is for all our other clients where you can probably work launching campaigns for a couple of months. For them also, if you would launch every campaigns in just 1 month, then you may probably end up not even spending that time anywhere else. For STC situation clients, yeah, if it requires you 20 hours but client is only paying you for 5 hours, go ahead and work 20 hours, but keep a track record of that, because this is one of a defense point as well for you, that if client says that I'm not getting results and we are struggling with results, but we can say to client that look at that, this is the hours we are putting for you, we're trying our level best. Often DP communicate that by straight away saying them that we are working far more hours than you are paying, but this one is a bit for your advantage. Keep a track record of something. If you are forced to spend more hours, be sure to spend. In specific situations those happens, I can understand. Client is only paying us for 4 hours but we have got to spend 25, but it shouldn't be like 30 or 35. You also got some sort of warning on a limit.
it's actually it's depend on how we are allocating and work with the particular project. Suppose we have 7 to 8 accounts. So if we are managing on the daily basis for the particular hours wise, I
Mm-hmm.
think I think no need to add this, actual hours and proposed hours in this sheet.
See, one thing where we are not good is we don't often optimize our own time, or we don't often plan properly. What I mean here is actually you have got to look into how much time you have got versus how much you think you likely going to need and how much you end up spending. So it should give you a good idea about what you can plan next month and how. It won't take you I think 5-7 minutes of time updating this, but this will ultimately if for example in June month a client is paying for 5 hours, you initially thought that you'll be spending 20 hours, but your actual hours ended up on 30 hours. So this gives you a learning that this was your planning but you ended up this. So how I need to plan for the next month? Should I actually limit some campaigns that you can move to the third month so that you can do better job with your time management? This is what I'm talking about. For STC situations you can skip this, you can work whichever hours you need it to be. But for clients where the performance is good and you have a really good plan to launch campaigns, for them we need to properly move campaigns to some other month so that we can keep doing job for clients for longer period of time and can keep saying that this is what we would be launching.
Ashok, yeah, the working hour records is okay. I think we should not have any concern on that. But the main concern is the left hand side. So the microing of the task and work on that process and that task. Basically, it will be really tough. Even I do have 2 or 3 accounts. Then it can be tough for me to go and deep down and inside it, what we need to actually work on and what task we have to work on in this week, in this month especially, because we understand by ourselves this account, where this account is and what actually is working and what we have to implement and what we do not have to touch. So if we have to micro plan it and then have to work it on that basis, in that time it is a little bit time consuming, as well as it is also we are not going to fulfill that what we require. So that is my point of view. I don't know others' point of view what that can be.
It's this is actually just given as a pre-template in giving you guys an idea about like when you evaluate or plan your work, how you need to calculate time, how much you can spend where. So this is actually not for like you have just this limit that to spend. Okay, let's make it a little bit simple. These are all recurring optimizations, right? Daily, weekly, and monthly. In a month, see how much time you will be spending on just optimizations. If client is paying you for 5 hours, just for daily, weekly, and monthly campaign management, 3 hours of your time will likely going on these activities, or it could be just four. So then 5 hours client is paying to you, how much you can spend on other activities. So if you are planning 5 hours they are paying, so you can, let's write it, 540 is their fee, so you got 6 hours, so you can work up to 18. So if 4 hours your time is going on recurring optimization, then you have got 20 minus 4, 16 hours. So what else you can do in those 16 hours? I'm actually talking about proposed hours, proposed working hours. So plan that is something 4 hours, your recurring optimization, and then you have to launch, say like dynamic remarketing. Give it 2 hours. You know, this is the time, or if you need 3 hours, write it. Understand its limit by checking this, and check 7 hours. What else? If it is RDSA campaign, very important for performance that you need to launch, give it 1 hour. Write down your proposed hour, 8 hours. This is just simple set of hours you calculated versus your plan. Now at the end of the month, look into your time doctor, look into your not web time spend report, and see how much time you have actually spent on this project. And understand, maybe it could be 12 hours. Now take a look into your, what you propose versus what you ended up. This will definitely be different, but this is actually good. You are somewhere near to what you are proposing versus actual hours. The sheet has been built up for just simple use, but perhaps this is making it a complex. This has been just the time limit given to you to think in that directions. Like if you have to do optimization, and then in month you at least need 4 hours for optimization.
So Ashok, this is just like an estimation, and it can be flexible, right? That's what you mean to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's just for
Estimation.
your understanding of like where your time is going, what is your planning versus where exactly you are ending up. Time management is one of the crucial thing, and we have got to look into how our time is going. So it's definitely flexible, and that's what I originally intended to use it. That what is client is paying, what you think are you need hours, and what you are ending up spending the hours. For some of the clients like ALB, client is paying us for 22 hours, but we ended up spending more than 100 hours. There we could have launched some campaigns other month, but we ended up launching all campaign in just 1 month, and our time has gone over 100 hours, and nobody was aware about that. That's where the problem starts happening, when we don't have control on how the time we are planning and where exactly it is going. By the way, I think its utilization is quite a bit not as I intended here. So perhaps we can remove this one. If we aren't seeing a good use, and you guys are confident that you can really look after to your time and optimize it, do not work unnecessarily too many hours than needed, then perhaps we can just remove it.
Yeah, my only concern was that it is going to be manage too much time of managing it itself, because if we have a 8 or 10 account, if we put for every account even a half hour to manage it, and to evaluate it, how much hour we given, approx 6 to 7 hours we going to invest in itself only.
Yeah.
So that what I was thinking, we need to simplify our process, and the time we also have to save, and that time we need to utilize, especially for project management as well as optimization of the campaign, basically what I think that.
Okay, yeah. This is just 2-3 minute job. It wouldn't take much time, but I think it's better not to use it. So let's remove it if it is making it too complicated. But these are very important, guys. Performance.
Yeah, this is important. Performance is very good, and it is not going to take much time.
Yeah,
So we could continue with that. Next tab, can you
this is also very crucial.
profitability? Yeah, sure, that is.
Yeah,
Uh,
and then wins record is also a good one. And I have noticed some of you guys started recording the wins, which is very good, and it literally helped me quickly understand like what are the wins for that client. And again, this will not take much time. You just need to write down one details of specific win. If data or if there is any supporting document, just add it. And spend and revenue growth planning. This one is an optional tab. I added.
uh,
Uh,
Ashok, one thing can I add here? Along with the wins, also we have to add the loses. What we lose, that is also crucial. So sometime it happens the shopping were performing very well last month, but
mhm.
suddenly this month is not performing. So we should also highlight it, and it should be in separate tab, I think.
I think win losing something, we can add it here itself.
Sure.
Wins lose, so we can track it just in same tab. So something like lose or any other word anyone can think here. Details of a specific win and failure. Just one tab would be easier to manage
Yeah,
that.
that is okay. We can add the headline, that is win or that is failure. What is it?
Yeah, failure means you tested non-branded didn't work. Add a point here. And non-branded didn't work. Add a data. Data could be you can quickly write down like keywords related, some kind of keywords you tested, or you can quickly download a spreadsheet and can link it here, right here. Spend and revenue growth planning. Again, this is for our advantage. Use it sensibly whenever your spend is going up, and this is a part of a real-time banner retargeting that we start thinking about. This is where you can note down that you are recommending that, and your new recommended budget spend you are giving to client this much. Some of columns, if they don't applicable, you can definitely skip them or add not available. But ultimate goal is actually just this two column. What is their current spend, and do we need to recommend new spend budget, a new platform to client? That's actually goal of this spend and revenue growth planning. Even in your existing campaigns, if you can't recommend a new budget, I mean new platform, of course in Google Ads there are a lot of opportunities. We can plan a growth. So use it that way.
I
Uh,
think I should maybe not right now. During next weeks, maybe would be better. I think because as Vivek said, for me also maintain Basecamp with the new process is a bit complicated. Maybe change to an spreadsheet model. I think maybe could be easier. I don't know. I don't say it right now, but maybe in the future.
well, spreadsheet model, you mean having all these tasks into spreadsheet? Is that what you mean?
Well, not all the tasks, but you know, I think in our one-on-one or maybe in those meetings I told you, I think some tasks sounds a bit repetitive or maybe you know do a bit complex the work. So maybe find an easier way to not to have many tasks, but also submit the information. For example, in my case, what I used to do since I started working here is, for example, in the monitoring tasks, include notes. And for me and for the DPs, it's very helpful, to track the activity and to follow up how the campaign performance. I think it's one option. I don't say it's the correct way, but for me, it's very helpful.
Yeah, so you can daily account management task is ultimately for that purpose only. So it's actually PPC account management task that you used to use. You can keep posting your notes here. It says already daily account management. So it's nothing but PPC account management progress, the older task we used to have. The same goal here is your job is just to monitor account daily, and you can keep writing notes here. However, I and Vivek will be working to simplify this. A lot of these tasks will be bucketing into one, and we try to improve it. But yeah, as I said, the main thing is executions. You guys would be responsible to whatever strategy you plan. You need to execute it and work towards getting the results. This single most template, this single most document, I think even without any process, this should serve the all purpose. This should be having you a clear cut strategy you plan versus the record of kind of your performance. All right, so I think that's it for today. It's been a long meeting, but good one. Keep focusing on a strategy you plan in execution, and definitely approach for results for clients. All right, guys, thank you so much for taking time and joining today. Have a good day ahead.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.